talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater. I'm in that mood. I'm wearing pink. Look at Ellen going too. You know, listen, it's the last show when we record it of the summer, and it becomes the first show of autumn.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to be dancing and cheering it. And wow, so the last show we did, we talked about shows that were closing, and no sooner did the curtain come down on our podcast than the curtain came down on Phantom.
Phantom of the Opera, longest running Broadway show, is going to close.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bye-bye, Chandelier.
it's over now, the music of the night.
Ooh, good. Sing it out, my sister. And now we should also point out that Beetlejuice is going to be closing. They'll be closing in January. So if you want, you know, it's a flurry of activity right now to get down to the city and see shows.
Yeah, I know. I kind of want to see Phantom one more time before it's gone.
Good. Knock yourself out.
It was one of the first shows I saw that got me like to love theater.
Oh, so
Yeah. It's a special one for me.
You know, it's funny. You know, we can talk about that. I saw Fiddler as a kid. You know, so that was a biggie. But then I also saw some just straight shows, you know, comedies on Broadway. So, you know, it's that becomes a question. What was the first thing you saw, and is that how you got oriented? Because, you know, some of the drama-ramas don't take kindly to musical theater.
Yeah, that is very true. And speaking of here, it's not shows closing. Shows opening. This episode is sponsored by Harbinger Theater, and they have a fantastic show coming up. It is called Andy and the Orphans. This is a little information about it. After the death of their 85-year-old father, 3 estranged siblings descend on Long Island on Thanksgiving weekend to settle the estate and decide on what is to be done with Andy, their adult brother who has lived his entire life in institutions with Down syndrome. A play with laughs, tears, and traffic. Come see the Capital Region's production of Andy and the Orphans by Lindsay Ferrantino, Harbinger Theater at Albany Barn. So by the time this goes out, they've already done their first weekend, but the show runs until October 1st. Tickets are only $15. You can get them on Eventbrite. Check out our Facebook page. We'll have all the information there. And last time, we told you that it's starring Tom Mooney, who is a 2-time Special Olympics gold medalist. And Benita said, "In what?" And we actually weren't sure. So I looked it up. Powerlifting. So that's awesome. And it's so great that this show is showcasing someone of his abilities. And it's going to be a fantastic, as always, Harbinger has very thought-provoking productions to talk about on the car ride home.
Yeah, very much so, and always done well. So bravo, get your tickets. Stay in town, you know, and go see that. We've got a really wonderful guest for you this evening. I mean, this guy's done it all. That's Andrew Higgs. He's the artistic director of Masterclass Performing Arts. And, you know, when you look at his bio, first of all, directed pretty much everything you ever wanted to see or have seen. Some Broadway events involving including the ensemble of the 25th anniversary concert production of one of your favorites, Ellen, The Secret Garden. I've done some work at Lincoln Center, regional theater, and the list just goes on and on. Worked with a host of wonderful performers, and he's right in our backyard and on our screen right now. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to see you here. What's the appeal for you about doing all, you know, in a sense, coming home and crafting Masterclass Performing Arts here in the Capital Region?
Yeah, I would say the biggest appeal for me with theater is I've always wanted to be a teacher. So when I was in elementary school, you know, I grew up wanting to be a teacher. And so I now teach at Rensselaer High School, but I also have found a way to combine my love of theater and teaching at the same time. So it's great to work with the youth and everybody in the Capital Region to come together and do musical theater.
And this is, I mean, you founded Masterclass Performing Arts back in 2017.
Yes.
And it was you and Kelly.
Yep, Kelly Jager.
Right. And you started with nothing. You're in Schenectady, you're Electric City,
Right.
you're from Electric City Barn, and it grows into this. Take us through the steps of how you go from I've got an idea and mom's got an old, refrigerator box to something this established and well-rounded.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So we started in 2017. Kelly and I, we got together and we contacted a woman named Judy who runs the Quest building in Schenectady, which is the old Schenectady Light Opera Company on State Street. And she expressed her interest in bringing a youth theater program for the kids of Schenectady she runs a program, it's almost an after school like care program for students in Schenectady. So the original intent was to bring productions to Quest to perform for those students. And we had such a positive reaction that we decided, let's keep going. So we did a production of Sleepy Hollow, Willy Wonka, and Elf, where we invited all the students from the Quest program to that. And then we expanded that season, and then we went on to do Hairspray and Seussical. And then we quickly realized that we were outgrowing the space that was there. We had an utmost of 35 students and several productions. And if you know the building, there's no backstage. The bathroom, the only bathroom in the building's in the lobby. So we moved over actually to the Electric City Barn on Craig Street, where we've been for several years, and we've been extremely happy there doing productions. We started there with Annie up until the pandemic, when everything kind of halted, and we managed to, I want to say, 14 virtual shows in that time when theater was kind of shut down. And we went to Zoom. Everyone has a Zoom membership now, I feel like. We went to Zoom and we did some film productions. Our first ever we did a production of Daddy Longlegs, which featured 2 pre-professional teens in the Capital Region. We did that first in 2020, and now the pandemic has kind of ebb and flowed. We've kind of flowed out a little bit for the most part. We brought it back last year, so they got to revisit it 2 years later, the same roles, and redo the show. So we really enjoy bringing arts to the children, to the kids, to the youth, and providing opportunities for the kids to work with students. I think that the kids to work with, the students to work with performers.
Andrew, let me jump in. You've got a little bit of competition, if you will, from Proctor's, because they've got a program. Is it competition, or are you targeting 2 different groups of young people?
Something that we always, I don't ever consider competition. And we encourage our kids to do all the theater programs, just because every time you do something different, you learn something new. So you shouldn't just stick with one theater. You try them all until, you're happy. I mean, I think everyone on Everything Theater has done several theater companies, and you don't just stick with one. You really, and that's how you build friendships and a family. And so I wouldn't ever really consider competition, but it's definitely, I like the idea of working together with different companies, finding students that we share, that we get to go and support. Like we saw an excellent production of Into the Woods this summer for Proctor's. We did a big group down to Wedding Singer at Park Playhouse this summer, where several of the students that we work with were in both of those productions. So I really think just creates a nice family to have that many opportunities in the Capital Region, definitely.
Andrew, is there a fee for these kids to join in and perform with you?
There's a tuition fee, but we put in bold. Actually, we just added this because somewhere in the pandemic it got cut off, but we've re-added it. But we've never turned away a performer. So I think we're doing Disney's Descendants right now, with a cast of 47 kids, I want to say. We actually have 2 completely separate casts that are performing. and we have a large percentage of students on scholarship. We do different fundraisers to help offset the costs. We've never turned away. We actually welcome, during the pandemic, there was a production of Matilda that was halted and couldn't get back on its feet. So we took the entire cast in, anybody that wanted to join to our production of Wizard of Oz. So we just had them come down. It was a tuition-free program. I think we got like 8 students from that production to come in and work with us because their show had just been canceled because of issues with COVID. And
You know, Andrew, something that we've talked about, Ellen and I, on this show, and with many guests, is building an audience for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So the work you do, how does that play into that issue?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Speaking about the audience, thank you for bringing that up. When we started, we really didn't have an audience. We had the children at Quest, and that it was the best audience in some type of way because they were there just for fun. They loved the theater. It was free to come. They had a blast. And now as we're progressing, we did Jimmy B. Jones, and we had 4 sold out audiences at the Troy Arts Center, which was mind blowing to us. We haven't had that in years. And it's almost, the audience is mostly made up in some part of kids that have done productions in the past. They want to go, they want to support their friends, they want to see something new. We brought a group up to the Manhattan Theater to see Next to Normal. It's not normally something that teens or, well, a lot of teens, but that children would want to go see. And a lot of them hadn't. So we really encourage that they build that audience of tomorrow and go to the new productions and see everything that they can, support other theaters, support other performers. You never know who you're going to be working with. So go see other shows, get to meet people, and really enjoy it. And I think a lot of the kids do. We try to play as many productions as possible.
Now, working with all these younger, oh yeah, definitely. Working with all these younger performers, how would you say, in your experience, how is that different or not different to working with a more adult company?
Yeah, I always find I love watching the younger kids learn. Right now, we have for Descendants, we have a teenage cast, which is mostly, I want to say, 14 and up. And then we have a kids cast, which is anywhere from, I think our youngest is 6 to that 14 mark. And it's amazing to see the kids work together. Like we have a teenager playing the same part as a 10-year-old, and they're helping them understand the process of theater. Like this is stage left, this is stage right. I brought out the old-fashioned cones with the numbers so they can see, okay, you stand at cone 2 and then you move to cone 6. So I definitely think that I'm getting off topic. What was the question?
Just how is it the same or different from working with, your more traditional adults, community theater, professional theater? Yeah.
There it is. So I would definitely say it's the same because you're still forming those friendships and the bond and the relationship. I don't think there's a single cast that you don't walk away from with a whole new group of friends that you move on to the next show with or go to do other theater with. And it's a little bit different because I'm sure, doing Assassins, you have wonderful trained performers that automatically know what stage left is, unless you're like me and you have to write it on your shoes just to remember which way is which. But I think it's a little bit different because you get into a comfort of not seeing what they have to learn, because it's just natural. Where the kids, you really have to take the time to say, okay, this is stage left, this is stage right. The audience, backstage, downstage, upstage, the different aspects of theater.
But seeing them get it has got to be wonderful.
Oh yeah. We just did this past week. We realized a lot of our students in Descendants had never auditioned for a production before. They've auditioned for us, and we just, you can come in and sing happy birthday. And we're like, you're in the show, congratulations. But a lot of the kids had never really, because of COVID, had a real audition. So we did a audition class with them this past Thursday and this upcoming Thursday, and we're teaching them, you know, like, this is what a monologue is, and this is where you can find monologues, and this is what 32 bars mean. If there's no accompanist and you have to bring a track, here's where you can locate those tracks. Or, you know, what a slate is. A lot of the kids didn't know that you have to introduce yourself when you walk in to an audition room. So it's been really nice. We played a teamwork game where we toss rings and they have to remember the order it goes in. Then introduce different color rings that go in different directions. So you have to work as a team and know what everyone else is doing on stage, and it kind of just connects back to the process. And they really thrived with it and did a really great job last week. And this coming Thursday, we're excited to see their auditions that they've prepared. You know, something to look forward to.
And on your website, you've got quite an impressive list of guest instructors that have worked with them. Tell us a little bit about those people.
Yeah, so we really try, one of the big things that we're working into now that we're kind of sliding away from COVID is bringing in guest performers into the show. I always find that the kids learn a great deal when they work with somebody during the process of a show. So for Descendants, for example, we have some of our we have some kids that graduated during COVID. They're coming back to play like the fairy godmother, Belle and Prince Beast, or King Beast at that point. And then we have one of my friends from Broadway, Bryn Williams. She was in Bye Bye Birdie, SpongeBob, 13. She's coming up to play Maleficent for the production. Barring that she doesn't, she just had a couple of callbacks, so I hope she gets it, but I hope she can play Maleficent. So, you know, we're in that kind of way. And then we try to do as many workshops as possible, just because it's something different for the kids. A lot of the kids that we work with don't necessarily have the means to go down to New York and do, you know, there's wonderful programs out there in New York where you can go down and work with the Broadway talent and Ripley Greer and different studios. So we try to bring that here. Right before the pandemic, we did a great one night with Adam Pascal. He came in and he did a master class with them, and they performed with them afterwards. There was like a little cabaret, which was wonderful for the kids to experience that. A lot of them know him from Rent. A few of them saw Pretty Woman, the tour, and were thrilled because they were like, yay, here he is. And then, you know, others like Felicia Finley is a huge supporter of ours. She's done like Aida. She was the original, I'm gonna get the name wrong, Linda, the girlfriend in The Wedding Singer on Broadway. She was the last Tanya in Mamma Mia before it closed. So she's really, she thrives with the kids. She loves coming in, and she runs a theater in Chicago with her husband. So she comes in whenever possible. And it's really great to see, you know, the same thing with the learning with us. It's great.
Andrew, you're like the Pied Piper.
We always kid that they hear us preaching at them. Yeah, well, yeah, and the kids, they hear us preaching at them so much, like, oh, well, you should do this, that sometimes they tone us out. I get that in school a lot too. But when new people come in, it's like their eyes are wide, and there's this magic about it that is really, and then they have that like really invigorated, this is what we're gonna do, and we're all excited for months afterwards. So it's nice to see, you know, Kelly is really, my partner, Kelly Jager, is really big in incorporating the education piece. We work together to bring that in, and she's always advocating, well, who can we bring this month? Who's available for next month? What type of dance can we offer? So she's really working hard to set up stuff almost every month out of the year this year for the kids to work on.
I'm sorry, are all the kids from Schenectady?
No, we actually, we have kids as far away as, we have 3 kids from Glens Falls. We have kids from down past Hudson. They just did a wonderful production of Be More Chill at Rhinebeck. Some of our students are from down that area. That's kind of everywhere. We actually, I want to say, we only have about 3 or 4 kids from Schenectady out of the entire program. They kind of, a lot from Greenbush, a few from Albany, some Troy kids. I think a Mechanicville girl just joined. So we have pretty much from everywhere in the capital region. which is great because they're meeting people that they've never met before. You know, they're not friends from school. They're just coming and meeting new people that share the same interests.
Now, as a East Greenbush parent who has a toddler, how young do you go?
Well, that's a really great question. It always depends on the show. Like this past summer, we did Annie Kids, and we had anywhere from, I think our youngest was 5, and it was 5 to almost 18. And we did like the orphans, and then after that we did Magic Tree House, which was a great little show. I had never done it before. And our youngest in that, I want to say, was 6 or 7. So it really depends on what people are comfortable with, and you know, who wants to do it. I don't think we've ever said, oh, you're too young. You know, we might have said, well, we're going to keep you kind of in these scenes so that you're not overworked, because everyone knows rehearsals tend to be long. So we try to make it comfortable for the parents and the kids. You know, if you're one of our kids right now has a 7:30 bedtime. So we normally do rehearsal from 6 to 9. So we're like, okay, so we're going to keep you in these scenes, and then you're allowed to leave early, and we'll fit you in during tech week if we can. And you know, so we try to work with everybody.
Wow.
What an absolutely wonderful experience. You said, Andrew, that you really like teaching.
Yes.
Do you ever have the urge to get back on the boards instead of directing those on them?
Yes, and I actually, you know, I for a while I was trying not to, because there's oftentimes that preconceived notion that just because you're directing the show, like I played Edna the last time I directed Hairspray. So oftentimes people go, oh, well, he's directing, of course he's going to play Edna. But then I realized we just did Matilda, and I played the Trunchbull just for, you know, for something fun. And the kids really had a blast because they had never experienced when I was on stage. So it was kind of nice to, you know, pick and choose what, you know, I've had this group, I've been on stage with this group, wait a couple shows, and then the next group that comes in, hop into something over there. Yeah, it's definitely hard because I love doing theater, but I kind of at this point get more enjoyment from watching the kids do it than doing it myself. But I mean, I would definitely jump at the chance to like Hairspray again if it comes around, you know, or see it 4 times at the tour.
I like it. You put it out there. Okay. And
Yeah.
Ellen, let's just take a moment to pause and hit the green room again with the upcoming show.
Absolutely. So check out, you have until October 1st to see Andy and the Orphans playing at Albany Barn through Harbinger Theater. And it's, let's see, $15 tickets on Eventbrite, and a really great production. You don't want to miss it.
And hey, maybe, you know, Patrick will come and do a class with you, Andrew.
I actually, that was a discussion. I hope sees this. That was a discussion at our last meeting that we had. Was Patrick. So hopefully I can shoot him a message before he watches the podcast, and I can secure something there.
If not, we just get a little PR for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'll throw out a little bit more PR for Patrick too. You know, he's got his Patrick White acting classes are starting up. So if you are an adult looking to do some scene work and some acting lessons, check out Patrick's acting class. But now I think, unless you have anything else, Vanita, you wanted to ask?
You know, there's only one thing before we get into the close-up.
Yeah.
You're also involved with TANIS, Theater Association of New York State, and you know, the judging that goes on. And I think a lot of folks are not familiar with that. And Ellen, you've been judged, right? God knows. We've all been judged.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And does it really matter? Does it hold weight? You know, some theaters seem to live and die by this. Give us a sense of the role that plays in the community of theater up here.
Right. I mean, to be completely honest, this was a production of Legally Blonde that I did. I know exactly what you're talking about. A production of Legally Blonde that I did at Upstage Productions in, I want to say 2015. And I really didn't know much about it, to be completely honest. The production company brings the Tannis Awards in for their for almost all of their shows, I think. And it was a really nice distinction for them to come in and adjudicate the performers and the show itself. And we got really great feedback and some really great notes on things to improve and things to work on, not just positive feedback, but also things to look at. I think that's the more important aspect of it, because it's always nice to say, oh, we did great, yay. But it's also great to look at how you can improve. You know, there's always, I'm the first person to admit I've been involved in theater since, directing since I was a sophomore in high school. And that's why I've directed so many shows. And I, you know, to quite honest, I always didn't do the right thing. I've made many mistakes over the past several years when it comes to theater. So it's nice to get that that type of feedback on where to improve on and what to keep working on, because that's part of theater. You're always trying to improve not just the production but yourself. So I think it's definitely something that's what I take away from it. I haven't actually been involved in anything like that since that production, so I can't speak to how it impacts the Capital Region because it was just that one show. But that's what I take away from it. I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, it really does. It's also, Ellen, a great segue to this portion of the podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun. So yes, as Benita said, this is our close-up segment, Andrew. It's some rapid fire questions just all about you. So are you ready for your close-up?
I'm ready, I think.
First one, easy question. What was the moment in your life where you just knew theater's it? I've got to do theater.
I would say when I was in high school, I started doing the productions in high school, and they did an elementary performance for the kids, and it was awesome to see how much they enjoyed it. It was definitely an eye-opener. Yeah.
Is there a certain play that has had a huge impact on you, either just by reading it, seeing a production of it, or working on it?
I would say my favorite is Hairspray, because a big part of what we try to teach the kids is acceptance of everybody. And that's a huge topic in Hairspray, not just nationalities, but weight, the mother being played by a man, you know, accepting everybody for who they are, no matter what. I would say that show.
Is there a show out there that you haven't done yet that you think I've got to get my hooks into this one?
I would love to do Seth Rudetsky's Disaster. It's a jukebox musical of, I saw it several times and I thought it was a hoot, so I'd like to visit that sometime soon.
What's your biggest advice to young performers that they're just starting off? What's your go-to expertise opinion to get to them?
Yeah, I said this a little bit earlier, but my biggest thing that I try to tell the kids is always keep working on yourself. There's always something to improve. Be proud of your accomplishments, but work to have more accomplishments. You know, there's always some way you can better your performance yourself, the theater world, whatever you need to do. Just keep working at it.
And what's
That's good advice in general, I think.
Yeah. Life lesson there. What's the biggest whoops that you've experienced on stage, either personally or you've seen and as an audience member or something, a time where there was a little bit of a blooper where things did not go as planned?
Yes, I'm going to do both because I think they're hysterical. Personally, I did a production of Les Mis many years ago, and I was playing Thénardier. And Brandon Jones was our accompanist for the show. We did the show on a shoestring budget. We only did it with 2 pianos and very minimal set. And I came out for the sewer scene and forgot every single word of the song. And Brandon Jones and I just laughed off the stage. He was playing the piano laughing, and I was laughing on stage. I think it's actually recorded somewhere in the archives. And then actual watching the production wise, we saw a tremendous performance of Bette Midler in Hello Dolly. And there was a point where she was standing on stage and she said, hold on, went off stage, got her line, and came back on stage and continued the scene. So it was definitely like, oh, it's not just me. Okay, great. Even that happens everywhere.
Oh, that's reassuring to hear that a legend like that can still have bloopers.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. And tell us a little bit. Oh, sorry, Benita, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's sometimes when it gets delayed, so I can't always tell. Go ahead, Ellen.
I was just gonna say, tell us what's the next thing coming up. Remind our audience what's coming up.
Yeah, so up next, we're thrilled to be doing Disney's Descendants. We're very excited. To be honest, I was not very familiar with it when we started the process, but I've really grown to love the show. Another great show of acceptance where it's based on a Disney film where the princess's children welcome all the villains, four very distinctive villains' children, to their home, Oridon Prep from the Isle of the Lost. And it's really, they do a nice job of blending all three movies into one show, which I was kind of iffy about at the beginning. I was like, how do you do that? 3-hour-long movies in one show. And they really took the highlights that I talked about with Hairspray, with acceptance, building relationships, building a community, and really drive it home at most of Act 2. So they do a really, really nice job with that. And then we have our holiday show coming up, which is Elf Jr. We just cast that on Sunday, and we have about 25 students that were really excited to bring that show. We did it 4 years ago, and we're excited to bring it back this time.
That's great. So just hit the website, and Masterclass.
Yeah, we try to keep our website.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that's on our website as well, so you can jump in and do that. And the whole conversation about acceptance and understanding. There's just been the whole to-do over Ariel in Little Mermaid,
right,
was cast, and she's a woman of color. And as somebody wrote, said, "Come on, this is a created character. There is no race to this character.
Yeah.
Can we move on?" And how empowering for young girls of color to see a lead played by an actor who looks like them. I mean, that really should be the takeaway from this, as an embracing and an understanding. So,
absolutely, Benita.
What do I know? But that's what you stress in your program, Andrew, in listening to what you're sharing.
Yeah, we really try. We work hard to make sure that everyone knows that there's a place for them there, and really anywhere. If it means going to other shows and supporting people, it's definitely something we like to do.
Masterclass Performing Arts, check it out. You got a great season coming up through the holidays. A lot of kids involved. Bring your kids of all ages. It's fun. It's just fun. So thank you. Thanks so very much, Andrew. I'm glad you responded to the call.
Yeah, but thank you guys for having me. I really, truly appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, our listeners. Check us out next week. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Be well.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything.